I'm really blue. Here, next
The time is now 6:30 and we'll call the meeting to order. Please note that Dr. Barnard, Mrs. Reed, and Mr. Starr are present. Mrs. Jenkins is on the telephone and Mrs. Wikelski is not yet present. Ms. Jenkins, do you want to run the meeting from the telephone? Or do you want to do it?
I'm good on my end. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
No
I
opposed.
don't hear any. Great. So we'll move on then to the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Reed, is there someone in the audience who can lead the pledge for us?
Sure. Mrs. King, will you please lead the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for May 10th, 2022 business meeting and the May 24th, 2022 work study session. I move that we approve the minutes from these meetings as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? I don't hear any nay votes, so the motion passes to approve the minutes. We move on to informational reports, starting with a summary of current events from Interim Superintendent Dr. Sweeney.
Madam President, members of the governing board and guests, I have just a couple of brief comments tonight. Since our last meeting, we have graduated the class of 2022, celebrated our 8th grade promotion, and officially wrapped up the 21-22 school year. For staff, I want to thank our one and only Krista Andre for her planning and preparation for the staff end of the year breakfast, which we held on Friday, May 27th. It was a wonderful event, and we had a chance to celebrate our teachers and support staff. This year, we did something a little bit different. We recognized 4 staff members from each school and 1 each from the district office and the transportation department with what we call Falcon of the Year awards. And this year's winners were recognized for demonstrating the Falcon way, and that means the characteristics of accountability, discipline, excellence, integrity, professionalism, and responsibility. And this year's winners were from McDowell Mountain Elementary School, Nicole Latona, Laura McClune, Annalie Evans, and Melissa Hyde. And from the middle school, we recognize Valerie Reichler, Chrissy Beard, Stephanie Beck, and Michelle Smout. From the high school, Kevin Clancy, Christine Barsma, Kim Garman, and Malika Bull. And both Kevin Clancy and Kim Garman are right here with us tonight. And from the transportation department, Vince Kozlarich was the Falcon winner there. And from the district office, we recognize Karen Popowicz. So congratulations to all of them and you who are here with us tonight. And I do want to thank all of our employees for really getting an excellent job done throughout the course of the year. And with that, I conclude my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Sweeney. Next, we have governing board reports, starting with Mr. Starr. Anything to report or share with the board?
Not tonight.
Great. Mrs. Reed?
I attended 8th grade promotion. Everything I'm going to say, Dana was there too. He just doesn't want to record it. So I attended 8th grade promotion. That was really exciting to watch our new upcoming freshmen be promoted from 8th grade. I attended the faculty breakfast, and yes, Krista, thank you for making it fantastic. And it really was short and sweet, which is always nice too. And thank you to Sodexo for the fantastic breakfast. The scones were amazing. They were blueberry and warm. And then I attended graduation. That's always my favorite event of the whole year. It's such a great community event to look out into the grass at the park and see all the community that has come down to celebrate our kiddos. And then last, I attended Falcon Fiesta and got to play blackjack, not for money, but for tickets, with the kids. And I was supposed to leave at 12, but at 12:30, I realized my time had actually gone by so fast that I actually stayed till 1:15. So I had an amazing group of kiddos who stuck with me a good part of the night, and that was a lot of fun. And thank you to Dr. Barnard for all your part in that and kind of corralling me to help. So that's all.
Thank you.
Mrs. Rakowski is here now, Nadia.
Okay, I was gonna ask if she'd come in, so we'll move on to Mrs. Rakowski then.
I also attended the middle school, when the middle school graduation. And I also was there for Falcon Fiesta as the bingo boss. And each year when I've done the Falcon Fiesta and done bingo, we had a lot of students coming in and participating in bingo. But this last Falcon Fiesta, we spent a long time with no students at all. So actually what I did was I went to other places to see if any of those students wanted to join bingo. When they joined the bingo and they enjoyed the bingo, they kept coming, and that was just wonderful. That was how it was with all the other Falcon Festas that I attended and done the bingo box with. That's all, Nadia.
And then, Dr. Barnard, yes.
Sorry, I should have let you call my name. Was that student, no self-control. I attended 8th grade promotion, it was great. And then Thursday I went to the elementary school where they walk around and do their celebration walk at the elementary school and the middle school. And then at the elementary school, I would have stayed, but I didn't. I don't see any elementary school parents, but they did a new tradition this year where they clapped out the 3rd graders moving up to 4th grade.
Oh.
So it's really sweet. And they did a really nice job at the elementary and the middle school, making posters and celebrating our graduates. And then, of course, high school graduation, which turned out beautiful, as always. It's one of the best graduation ceremonies, I think, in Valley. If CT was here, that's what he would say for sure. And yes.
He's our cheerleader.
Yes. And Falcon Fiesta, it cannot be done without a community. Thank you, Madison and Libby and Jill. And Jay's wife is not here, but she bought the most amazing gifts for Falcon Fiesta. Jill, and lots of community hard work went into decorating and buying things and getting the food, and Julie Heaney and Jenna Van Beek. So the seniors really appreciated it. I had quite a few seniors tell me how much fun it was. They didn't know what to expect, but once they got there, it was a lot of fun. So now summer school is starting. Thank you for allowing it to be free for our students who need it. And football and basketball and lots of other sports are also starting. So I wish them good luck, stay cool, and enjoy the summer. Oh, now.
Thank you. And for myself, I attended the same event, the 8th grade promotion, which yes, was lovely, well done as always. Great to see our students moving onward and upward, and the graduation for the seniors at the fountain was also beautiful. It was a very lovely night, not too hot, and it was a great evening. Many really quality speeches, lots of great insights, I feel, from both our students who are graduating and moving on, as well as the guest speakers. that were addressing the crowd that evening. And then also I went to the staff breakfast on Friday morning prior to graduation, and that was a wonderful event. As Mrs. Reed said, short and sweet, and yes, the scones were amazing. But I also really, just the thing that struck me about that event, walking into the room, was just the staff was really engaged with each other, chatting and talking and enjoying time together as a staff, and they seemed like a cohesive community of staff members who enjoyed being with each other, and I felt really good walking into that room and seeing that. And those are my comments, so we will move on. We have next on the agenda reports, and this first item under reports is honor track, golf, and beach volleyball athletes. Dr. Sweetie, do you have anything for us on this item?
Madam President, I will flip it over to Athletic Director Evelyn Wynn, who is here, and I think she's going to do the introductions, and she's heading to the podium now.
Awesome.
So this is the third time this year that I've gotten to be in front of you. I'm grabbing this. Sorry. To honor our athletes that have qualified for the state tournament. So this spring we had our beach volleyball team qualified. We had one golfer and we had 2 track and field athletes. So to begin, we are going to bring up our beach volleyball players. Come on up, please. And unfortunately, Coach Pete was not able to make it tonight, but he did write up a little something for me to say about his team. And then he also shot me a last-minute text right before the board meeting to add on to that. So we have a little supplement. Thank you for taking a moment to recognize the 2022 beach volleyball team. These Falcons started prepping for the season in November, and after 6 months of hard work, were able to qualify for the playoffs for the 9th consecutive season. Additionally, Mia and Sophie qualified for the state pairs tournament and finished the season with a 12-14 record. 5 players received all section honors: Mia on first team, Sophie and Amaya on second team, Bella and Sydney receiving honorable mention. The depth of the program was impressive this season with a 9-1 JV record that was the best in program history, and wins over larger schools nearby such as Desert Mountain, Notre Dame Prep, and Arcadia. We had a very young team with 13 freshmen and sophomores out of 16 players who competed, and so the future looks bright for the program. We are hoping to make some noise and progress further into playoffs next year. And the added text was, they were an amazing group of positive kids who cared about each other and were so much fun to be around. Please give our beach volleyball players a round of applause for this.
Jocelyn, Maya, Mia, Olivia, Bella, Eliana, Emerson, Bree, Kiptre, Lucia, Lucia? Oh, sorry.
We're gonna take care of it.
You're gonna be squeezed.
Got it. I'll squish together a little bit. It's a good like 1, 2.
I hate to make y'all move, but could y'all come in front of this podium? Center? Did you see that? Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and then moving on to our golfer, Alex Shafer. Unfortunately, him and his coach were not able to make it tonight, so I do have a little something to read regarding Alex as well from Coach Busick. Coaching Alex over the past year has been an immense pleasure for me. Alex never failed to amaze me with his skills and strategies. During the past year, Alex accomplished some high levels of success due to his passion and dedication for golf. I wish Alex all the luck in all of his future playing golf. I will always be grateful for the journey we shared going to the state championship, and I want to thank Alex for showing a real spirit of sportsmanship. As golf is an individual sport, it is also a team sport. Alex was also always supportive of his team, and everyone looked up to Alex as a team leader. I remember in one match when a kid from another team we were playing was having a bad round of golf and was embarrassed to be playing among such good players. The kid had hit a bad tee shot, but Alex said he was good and he could still have a shot to get to the green. Alex hit a 320-yard shot on the green. The best part was Alex walked with this kid with the bad shot to find his ball, and I watched Alex as he was making the kid laugh and smile the whole way. Alex was a great ambassador for Fountain Hills. Thank you, Alex, for making this year a memorable one. Alex is truly a great golfer, and we hope to see him on the course or watching him on TV someday. Alex gave me more than what I could give him. Can we please give Alex a round of applause? And as much as I love standing up here and talking, I'm going to pass off the track and field athletes to Coach Clancy.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Go figure, our two athletes are on vacation in different countries. I guess we consider Hawaii a country. It's weird to leave Arizona in the summer. I don't quite get it. But I think one of them is live streaming it right now. But we did have Aaron, Hooley, and Jensen Banky qualify the state meet this year. Track and field is a weird one where there's no sections, there's no regions, so it's kind of hard to gather the accolades. So statistics are really what kind of shows what kind of season it was. So we qualified athletes to the state meet for the first time since 2019, obviously with COVID in there. We had 3 events that we qualified in. We had 7 state provisional qualifiers, meaning we hit a provisional mark and were eligible to be at the state meet, and then also 2 relays. And then on top of that, we had 114 personal records, and I take a lot of pride in that one because on a team of 34, that's PRing, we can call it PRing for short, and 3 to 4 events per person. And that just means you put in a lot of hard work to get that. It's a very, there's no variables in track and field. They're the same 12-pound shot put, it's the same 400-meter loop. It could be a little hotter one day, there could be some wind, but the more work you put in, the better you get. So 114 personal records was awesome. At the end of the season, we were able to have 2 athletes at the state meet, Aaron and Jensen, and that was really cool to have them out there. Miss Nguyen was out there, a couple of our teachers were out there, other student athletes were out there watching them, supporting them. It was really cool. So speaking of statistics, I brought some up for Aaron and Jensen. Aaron is now 4th all-time in the school's 3,200-meter record book. That's 2 miles on the track. She ended up finishing 22nd in that event at the state meet. She was 19th in the 1,600, that are known as the mile. She was the first person since 2015 to qualify in both the 3,200 and the 1,600 meters. She put in 20 to 25 miles a week, which is a lot of miles. I mean, out here pounding the pavement, doing track workouts. Not someone who's scared to work hard, someone who likes pushing their teammates. We did put Jensen and a couple others who are sprinters and jumpers in a distance workout with her, and they're like, we have no idea how she does this. She's running this pace for this long, and she's a pleasure to watch race because she gets really, really competitive when she races, and so it's really cool. Closed out her season well, and I didn't mention yet, but she's only a sophomore. So we'll call her a super sophomore because there's a lot more to come from her. Jensen is a junior for us. He finished 11th in the high jump at the state meet. It's a make it or miss it event where you clear the height or you don't. And the opening height was 5'9", so right here he had to jump over that. And I think he was on his 3rd attempt. I think it was his 3rd attempt, only 3 attempts per height, and he ended up clearing it. And most of the field did not clear, so he ended up finishing 11th in the state meet. He's someone that chose to be here. He wanted to be at Fountain Hills for the small school aspect, to have a close-knit group of friends, to have teachers that care about him. And so he's someone that's really bought into being here. It's a pleasure to have on the team. He's fifth all time in the high jump in school history, first person since 2018 to make it there. And one of the cool things that's happened postseason that he's really started his college search. He's just hooked on wanting to go to college to compete in the high jump. And so we sat down, he's sent out recruiting questionnaires, emails, and he's getting a lot of good feedback because he hit 5'10" in the high jump, which would make a lot of rosters. He's only a junior, so he has one more year. That 6 foot mark is really what takes him to the next level, and a lot of scholarship money becomes available at that point. But schools like Georgia and Corp, Pacific Lutheran, Cal Poly Humboldt are really interested in him. So I hope at this point next year we're coming back and we're telling you where he's committed to, because it'll be fun to follow him going forward. But two people that we're really glad to have back next year, great representatives of the program. And we only lose 2 of our seniors this year. They're awesome seniors, but the future is definitely bright for track and field. So I'm glad that we can be here celebrating them tonight. And I just
All right, RBL wrapped up, we didn't have any additional students for photos, correct? Because I can't see those happening. Okay, thank you. Then we move on to state council minutes, which are on pages 19 to 23, student activity and auxiliary accounts, pages 24 to 30. Unaudited financial report is on pages 31 through 32. Any questions or comments from the board members on these reports?
Does not look like any.
Great, thank you. We then move to public comments. Do we have any public comment for this evening?
We have one.
Okay.
Judy, want to read?
Yes, thank you.
Call to the public. Okay, call to the public. This is the time for the public to comment. Time limits may be allocated on public comment at the discretion of the board president for the board to efficiently complete its business. The board reserves the right to prohibit any comments made in a discourteous or threatening manner. Complaints about specific individuals, students, or personnel are discouraged. Personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate staff member or administrator per district policy. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01, capital H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration, the decision at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and I believe Mrs. Reed, you have the public comment card. Can you please call the speaker forward?
Yes. Tina Levita, please come forward. And just the same as when Ms. Jenkins is here, you'll be given 3 minutes, which I'll be running the timer.
This won't take very long. Good evening, folks. I know tonight you're going to have a call for election on the DDA override and also the bond to be put on the ballot for November. And just wanted to let you know that as you move forward with that, you have my support. And probably others here too that aren't even here, as well in the community that will advocate on your behalf and be ambassadors with social media and letters to the editor and stuff to support your decisions as well. So you won't be having to deal with this on your own, but we're going to be helping you as well on our end. Just wanted to share that with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We move to the consent agenda, which consists of donations on pages 34 through 37, accounts payable vouchers, pages 38 through 50, payroll vouchers, 51 through 56, the personnel action report, page 57, which we did actually get a revised personnel action report authorization of execution of warrants between board meetings is on pages 59 through 74, which I think that's actually just page 59. And then we have the Maricopa County Community College District intergovernmental agreement that actually starts, I think, on page 60 and takes us through page 74. Are there any questions or comments from the board on the items on the consent agenda?
I would like to make a comment, and that is just when you read authorization of execution of warrants between board meetings, it sounds very nefarious, and it basically is just so that salary can be approved. I don't know why it's got that language, but I was taken aback when I first read that, and then when you read the language inside, it is just approving salary for our employees. So I just want to make that clear. And with that, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? I do not hear any nay votes, so the motion passes. Proceeding with action items. Our first action item this evening is policy GCQC, resignation of professional staff member Alexandra Means. For this one, we have the information in our board packet associated with the request for a waiver. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I'll make my comment. I just don't think we should be in the business of people who are not either certified staff or at the director level for charging $1,500. I feel like people should have, if they give appropriate notice, and they are salaried employees, I just don't feel like we should be punitive and do a $1,500 damages fee. Again, the reason we did this was so it would cover our expenses for a search and all of those other things. It was never really meant to be punitive. And in this case, this particular HR coordinator, I don't feel like the position is high enough to warrant liquidated damages.
I have a question. Dr. Sweeney, is this employee on a contract?
She was on the contract, yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was just salary, but no, like if her contract renews every year?
Yes, there's a copy of her contract in the supporting materials.
Oh.
Are there any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the resignation of professional staff member Alexandra Means.
I second.
But I'm not finished.
I'm sorry.
And agree that there will be no $1,500 stipend or $1,500 penalty.
So there won't be.
There will not be.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Our next item on the agenda is another, getting back to my agenda page, policy GCQC resignation. This one is for April Lawson. Any discussion on this item?
No, for this one, it's recommended that we approve her waiver request, so,
Yeah. If there isn't any other comment, I will go ahead and move that we approve the waiver request for April Lawson.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? There are no nay votes, so the motion passes. We move now to another policy, GCQC, resignation of professional staff member. This is for James Curtis. Are there any questions or comments for this resignation and waiver request?
So this person actually falls into the category where it's going to cost us money to find a replacement. However, case-by-case basis. He has been working all spring and is currently right now working as an unpaid coach for our football team. And I think in this case to asking for $1,500 when he's volunteering right now is in some ways cruel. So in this case, even though this fits the position where we're out money, I feel like there's extenuating circumstances. So I would like to waive the request. Wait, I would like to waive the $1,500 liquidated damages because of the extenuating circumstances.
Do you want to make the motion?
All right. Saddens me to do this, but I recommend that I guess it doesn't sadden me to do this, but the resignation part saddens me. I recommend that we waive the liquidated damages from James Curtis.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? No opposition, so the motion passes. We move on to our fourth and last policy, GCQC for this agenda, resignation of professional staff member. This one is for Rich Delacona. Do we have any questions or comments for this request? Okay. This one is recommended as a denial of the waiver request. Any opinions about that?
My stance on this has been that basically, it's just the end of the school year. We have all summer to find someone. It's an inconvenience, but they're not leaving us in the middle of the school year. So, the $1,500 penalty when I was on the board and it was implemented was basically a penalty for people who decided in the middle of a school year to leave classrooms. And so I would recommend that we go ahead and waive the $1,500 liquidated damage fee based on the fact that we do have all summer to find a new middle school principal. And his reasoning for, moving on, I believe is satisfactory.
Yeah, I'll just make a couple comments that maybe we should revisit, and this has nothing specific to do with Mr. Delacona, but dovetailing with what you were mentioning, Jill, I think we need to revisit the time period where we say that the $1,500 liquidated damages is in effect, because I kind of echo your sentiment that we're at a point in time where it's not as damaging to us as a district to need to find a new resource. Not saying that Mr. Delacona won't be missed, but because we're going into the summer months, we're not active with school in progress right now, right? So we don't have students who will immediately be impacted by the fact that this person is leaving their position, and we have some time to hopefully fill that position before the school year starts again. So we may want to look at what we consider the effective time period for the liquidated damages. I would also say that it might behoove us, if we're going to have advancement in position, be one of the reasons why we would waive the damages, that we request a bit more information, or we have a bit more criteria for what we as a board feels like falls under that advancement in position to be acceptable for us to waive the fee.
I agree. I think that this summer or early fall is a good time for the board to revisit policy GCQC and maybe narrow within our guidelines.
Yes. Well, with that said, I will go ahead and make the motion that we accept Mr. Delacona's resignation, as well as approve his request for a $1,500 waiver of the liquidated damages.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Do not hear any votes, so that motion passes as well. The next action item on the agenda is certified staff pay for performance plan. Dr. Sweeney, do you have some additional detail for this agenda item?
Yes. Excuse me. Madam President, members of the governing board, and guests, a committee made up of teachers from all three schools worked throughout the spring to review and revise the district's performance pay plan. Committee members were Amanda Baca, Christine Barsima, TJ Buckley, Jill Cooper, Caitlin Good, Richa Perkins, Chris Peterson, Luke Saltzman, Patty Schultz, Chris Alexander, and myself. And the work through the spring was last year the plan was not touched and it just remained the same. So we took a look at it to update it as required by law. The plan must be approved by at least 70% of the teachers who are eligible to participate, and it must be approved by the governing board. We have passed the 70% of approval threshold, both collectively and at all three sites individually. We did a little different because we beat up that old one so much with the red line copy. We have a red line copy and then the clean copy for you because I thought trying to understand the red line one might be a little challenging. But we have passed that threshold. We look for governing board approval. I do recommend approval, and if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer those.
I do have one hopefully quick question. And looking at the list of the zones, for zone 2, it indicates that they need to pick 2, and then it says at least 5 hours. Is that 5 hours per activity, or is that 5 hours total across 2 activities?
It is intended to be 5 hours total.
Okay. I think that it might be good to provide some clarification there, since in zone 1, it says pick 3 and then at least 2 hours per activity, and then knowing that zone 2 is supposed to be 2 activities, I think it's specified as 5 hours total. That will avoid questions from others.
We can clarify that in the final draft before it goes out.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Because I'm sure, I know what I was doing was going through and then, okay, for zone 1, it would be a minimum of X hours. For zone 2, a minimum of this. For zone 3, a minimum of this. And then a staff member can quickly calculate a minimum number of hours per calendar year that they need to contribute within these additional activities to qualify for the performance pay. Any other questions or comments?
Very detailed, and I appreciate that the teachers had a voice in creating this. And it looks great.
I definitely love to see the activities that are associated with staff members coming to extracurricular activities and supporting the school community as a whole. I really like that those are options for our staff members to fulfill this performance pay requirement.
I agree, Nadia. That was one of the things that I noticed is, from years in PTO, one of the questions from parents is where are the teachers? It's the parent-teacher organization. And it's hard because our teachers work all day and they're with our kiddos, and we certainly appreciate that. But we did have a nice core group that would always come and participate at the gala. So I like, it's nice to see now that will qualify as part of their pay for performance activity in zone 1.
Any other commentary? Do we have a motion?
We're all scrolling up to the exact words.
Yeah.
We're pausing. Whoever gets there first is going to do it.
I can do it. Administrative the board, I move that the board approve the pay for performance plan for 2022-23.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? No nay votes, so the ayes have it, and we have approved the certified staff pay for performance plan. Our next item is policy Jjj Revision. This is our second reading as well as an action item for the board to potentially approve the policy changes. Are there any questions or comments from the board since this is our second reading? We certainly have had some discussion regarding this item in previous board meetings, but is there anything additional the board would like to either ask or comment about regarding policy Jjj?
Nope.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that the board approve the revisions to policy Jjj extracurricular activity.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the supplemental reading material for FHMS. You have a list of that supplemental reading material in our board packet that begins on page 136. Dr. Sweeney, do you have any additional commentary for us on this item before we proceed with taking action?
Briefly, those books have been on display for 60-plus days per governing board policy, and we've received no negative feedback of any sort on those, and I recommend approval.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I will say that my son read all the Theodore Boone Kid Warrior books, and he really
They
liked
are
those.
awesome.
That was one of the only things he did like to read in middle school. Doesn't seem
And
like
I will go ahead and move that we approve the 12 novels as supplemental reading for the 4th through 6th grade classes.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the supplemental reading material, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Our next item on the agenda, which is our last action item this evening, is call for elections. Dr. Sweeney, do you have an introduction for this action item?
Yes, Madam President, members of the governing board and guests. I recommend the board discuss and take, and take some wrong action there. So at our most recent study section, the board made clear the desire for me to bring forth specific documentation for calling for a DAA and bond election. You were provided with a plethora of information on Friday, so you get a chance to look that all over, and you see the resolutions that are there, samples, exhibits, etc. I do recommend that the board consider, discuss, and adopt the accompanying resolution ordering and calling a special bond election to be held in and for the district and authorizing me to comply with certain sections of the Internal Revenue Code. I also recommend that the board consider, discuss, and adopt the accompanying resolution ordering and calling a special district additional assistance override election to be held in and for the district, declaring the deadline for submitting arguments for and against the election to the Maricopa County School Superintendent as August 12th, 2022 at 5 p.m. We do have Randy Stein with us here from Stiefel, and Jim Giel from Gus Rosenfeld is available via telephone if you have any questions that I can't answer.
Thank you. With that, are there any questions or comments from the board?
Said it all last week.
Yeah, I think we pretty much
Hashed it out.
Yeah.
It's just,
Okay,
yeah, it's just,
Go ahead.
I mean, it's just the language that we can't do anything about, the
Yes.
increase versus, when it's not any, anyway, But there's nothing that we
I
can do.
know.
That's marketing.
It's not an increase, but what the language has to say increase, which is confusing.
It's a continuation.
Yes.
And Dr. Sweeney, who sets that language?
That came, I believe a lot of it is mandated by statute, but the language that you see came to us via Gus Rosenfeld's review and expertise.
And so there's no way to remove increase and put continuation?
No.
No. So, okay. And Nadia, because there's two different things, we'll have two motions, which I have in front of me, if you would like me to make the motion.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Are there any other questions or comments? And do you want to handle the motions one at a time, Nadia?
I'm just looking at our board packet. I know we have them set together. I think that for the purposes of, I think it will be cleaner for us to actually do them as separate action items.
I agree. So the first motion, I move that the board adopt the accompanying resolution ordering and calling a special bond election to be held in and for the district and authorizing the superintendent to comply with certain sections of the Internal Revenue Code.
I second it.
Second,
Never mind.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of calling a special bond election, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? I do not hear any nay votes, so that motion passes. And then the next motion, I'll defer to you, Mrs. Reed.
Thank you. I move that the board adopt the accompanying resolution ordering and calling a special district additional assistance override election to be held in and for the district, declaring the deadline for submitting arguments for and against the election to the Maricopa County School as August 12, 2022 at 5:00 p.m.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the motion for calling a special district additional assistance override election, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. That was our final action item on the agenda for this evening. If you would like to see an item on a future board agenda, please contact Krista. Dates of upcoming meetings. Our next business meeting, as well as work study session, will be held on Wednesday, June 29th, 2022 in the Learning Center beginning at 5 p.m. Following that, on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, we have a board retreat at 4 p.m. also in the Learning Center. And with that, I move that we adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? No. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thank you. Thank you.